blinking smoke! It's not a joke! It's not a joke!
And no escapes. Causing death.
Nobody's safe! The plane! It's gonna blow up! It's gonna blow up!
Continuing the week of Final Destination reviews, unfortunately, we have reached that point where I can no longer give positive reviews to Final Destination movies with Final Destination 4. Oh wait, it's actually called The Final Destination. You know, we had a good series of numbering going. We just had simple titles. Final Destination 2, 3, and even the movie after this is just called Final Destination 5. But no, they decided we gotta be different. We're gonna call this movie The Final Destination. What does that even mean? Is it a remake? No, it's not. It's just Final Destination 4, but we're just too cool to put 4 in the title. That's just a little pet peeve of mine. I hate when they take the numbering off the titles, but regardless, okay, Final Destination 4, let's talk about it. There's a couple of things to mention here. Number one is that this movie is directed by David Ellis, and this is actually the guy that directed Final Destination 2, which is my favorite of the series. So this guy directed both my favorite and my least favorite so far, but I also think it's interesting how they kind of flip-flopped directors of these movies, because James Wong directed Final Destination 1 and 3, and David Ellis directs Final Destination 2 and 4, so they kept going back and forth for a little while. The other thing is that this movie was coming out during this big resurgence of 3D movies, where during the late 2000s, early 2010s, almost every big movie was in 3D. They were bringing 3D back in a big way. Comes in phases, you know, the 50s, the 1980s, and for some reason, the 2000s, early 2010s, everybody wanted 3D movies, and they were catering the movies and filming the movies in a way specifically that it would work in 3D. There is a lot of stuff flying at the camera in this movie that now far removed from the 3D era, and also not having, you know, a 3D TV or 3D glasses for the movie or anything that would even let you know that this movie was in 3D. Now watching it, it just seems really strange how coins are flipping towards the camera, a tooth that pops out of somebody's mouth comes towards the camera. There's a lot of kills that involve like steel bars and things like that, like coming towards you and everything. And watching it now is just as strange as watching like Friday the 13th Part 3 without having any idea that it's supposed to be in 3D. All that aside, everything in this movie really feels like it's a parody of a Final Destination movie rather than being a legitimate entry, because all of these characters are so terrible. The deaths are completely absurd, and everything is just as over the top and cliche as possible. And it doesn't even try to make you feel any kind of emotion. It doesn't even try to get you to connect with any of the characters or the situation at hand. It knows exactly what it's doing, and it's just repeating the steps, rinse, wash, repeat, the same thing you've seen over and over. And it doesn't try to be anything different than that other than adding in the 3D elements. But with that, things feel very tired and played out, and just there's nothing to make you care about anything that's happening here. And the saving grace to that could be having really cool, interesting kill scenes, you know, just coming into it for the kills. The same way with any kind of slasher series, by the time you get to the 4th, 5th, 6th entry, okay, you know, it's repetitive, it's played out, but at least give me good kill scenes. And the scenes in this movie are not that good. There's a couple ones that stand out that I'll talk about, but mostly this movie just feels like I'm kind of waiting to get to the end of it. Now, every Final Destination movie begins with the opening kill scenario where a character has a vision about all of the deaths that are about to happen, and then it switches back, he prevents it, and then of course death comes for the characters one by one. We've seen the same story play out 3 times, now it's going to be a 4th time, but the difference in this movie is that this film doesn't even bother to give you an introduction to the characters. It doesn't even let you know who they are, what their friendship status is, what they're doing in life. This movie literally starts out right before the opening kill sequence. Like, as soon as this movie starts, the characters are already at the racetrack where the kills begin. So we don't even get a chance to introduce you to our characters. The opening kill sequence happens about 5 minutes into the movie. We don't know their dynamics at all, and the kills just start happening. And this time it's at a big racetrack, which I do believe happens in the same town as Final Destination 3, or at least the racetrack is named after the town in Part 3, and there's also subtle references to the other movies. Like, there's a a pool that's called Clear Rivers, which is the name of Ali Larter's character from part 1 and part 2. So there's like all these subtle nods and references to the previous movies, and even the opening credit sequences, this X-ray format showing X-rays of all of the deaths from parts 1 through 3. So it's definitely playing on what we've seen before, and it expects you to know the status quo and exactly what the Final Destination movies are. I couldn't imagine this being your first Final Destination movie. It really plays on the idea that, yeah, we've seen this all before, and we're just going to do it again. But here in the beginning, this opening kill sequence is, I believe, the weakest of all of the Final Destination movies. One of the race cars crashes into the stands start collapsing, people are falling on, metal pipes, and then the stands, the cement breaks and crushes somebody. Another person gets blown up by the car that is coming into the stands and everything. And sure, I mean, these crashes, do happen at racetracks, but this is not something nearly as common as the other kill sequences from the previous movies. The fear of a plane crash, or the fear of a pileup on the highway, or even the fear of a roller coaster track going wrong. I feel like all of those things are more common expressed fears that people have, rather than the chance that a race car is going to come out of the circle itself and into the stands and cause a mass collapse. Like, sure, for the people actually racing the cars, this could be a fear, but for the people in the stands, it's just not something that's as common. And I kind of wish the movie actually starred one of the race car drivers. I think that would be a lot more interesting, because imagine a character has to go and perform this race after having this vision, and he knows everything that's going to happen, but also like the title is on the line, his reputation's on the line, does he follow through with the race? That could have been a way more interesting scenario, but nope. Instead, we just don't even introduce the characters. Who cares? They're already at the racetrack. The kill happens, and now we got the Final Destination movie. And the other thing about this movie that is terrible, besides all of the characters, not one of them is worth rooting for. None of them give a good acting performance in this movie, but then again, they don't really have a lot to work with here. But also, this movie, almost all the kill sequences are CGI. And the CGI in this movie looks like ass. And I got to imagine that part of that is because they were catering the CGI to fit the 3D experience, or whatever the case may be. But dear God, even for 2009, the CGI is terrible. I think the CGI in Final Destination 3 during the roller coaster sequence is done way better than any of the CGI in this movie. Like, when characters are constantly, for example, getting like split in half or crushed by things. For example, the character sees the vision and gets everybody out of the stands of the racetrack, and the explosion still happens because the car still crashes, and a piece of it flies over the stands and swipes a woman from the back, basically splitting her in two. But when it hits her, it's all CGI. It just looks like a digital effect. It looks like a video game. It looks like a cutscene, from like a PS2 game or something like that, where the blood just flies, the second half of the body just plops on the ground, and it's all digital. And it all just looks terrible. Like, I'm sorry, like every single time they cut to a digital effect, which is pretty much every single kill scene in this movie, it just looks like a video game cutscene, and it does not mesh at all with the live action elements of the movie. And it's terrible. There's also a moment that made me laugh my ass off. Like, if you just go into this like knowing that this movie isn't taking itself seriously at all, and this is just a generic paint by numbers Final Destination movie, there are some really funny things that happen in this. One is that the security guard character is that he tries to take his own life, because he just assumes that he's gonna, he's part of death's design, he's gonna die anyways, and he can't. And there's a scene where the two characters run into his house, and he's hanging from a noose, and they're like, oh my God, like they think he's dead, and he's still alive, and he's just like, get away. He's like, get away from me. And then they take him down, and they're like, what are you doing? And he's like, man, I've been trying to kill myself all day. And it's just the casualness of which he says it. He's just like, yeah, I've been trying to kill myself all day. It's not working. It just imagine this guy, like, all day long. He's like, man, I tried to take these pills and overdose. It didn't work. I tried to like, breathe in the gas from my car in the garage. It didn't work. Now I try to hang myself. It didn't work. Like, I just can't kill myself. I just keep trying. It just keeps not working. Totally morbid humor, but it's, I don't know. The way he delivers that line is so funny. Just, I've been trying to kill myself all day. There are two kill sequences in this movie that I think are pretty good, though, or at least the concept of them. There's one where this jock kind of character that's, first of all, when he figures out this is happening, he's like, well, I'm going to go get laid one last time if I'm going to die. And he actually does. So he does what he wants to do. But he drops the coin down in this pool, and the water is being sucked out from a vent below it. And it's one of those situations which I saw on, they used to have a TV show called 1,000 Ways to Die that would cover all of these absurd and crazy ways that people died, probably inspired by Final Destination. And he goes down to grab the coin, and his ass gets stuck on the suction, like taking out the water at the bottom of the pool. And he literally has all of his insides ripped out through his ass. Now, you don't really see anything in the movie. Like, you see him like struggling, and then you see the like his guts and stuff come out of the other side of the pipe. I think it was kind of done better on the 1,000 Ways to Die episode, but just the concept of that, of being like stuck and like there's like a suction on your asshole that's like ripping out your guts. That's pretty crazy. The other one I really like is when the girl gets stuck in the escalator. The second half of the escalator rips off during this collapse that's happening in the mall after an explosion. Her leg gets caught. She starts getting grounded up into mincemeat and everything. And that scene is really cool. But then it's completely like undone because it's just another vision of a potential death. So here's the thing. At the end of Final Destination 3, they do a cool twist where Mary Elizabeth Winstead's character has a second vision of another death happening on the train. In this movie, they try to do something like that again, where at the end of the movie, the main character, whose name I can't even remember, sees a vision of an explosion happening at the mall and the escalator thing happening. But then when it goes back to reality, he's gone back effectively like 45 minutes to an hour, because at that point he's outside of the hospital where the security guard character gets sideswiped by a truck, which is the same exact death that happened in the original Final Destination. And he has to travel all the way to the mall, get to the theater, stop the explosion from happening, which takes a good bit of time. So I just didn't like the idea that this vision that he has of this mass death happens like an hour into the future, because you have to account for all the time it would take him to get there, for the characters to start watching the movie, for the explosion to happen, and it just seemed like too much time. And I know that might sound like a nitpick or a small complaint in these movies, but every other vision of the oncoming death happens about like a minute or two, or maybe 5 minutes before the big event happens. The fact that he has this much time to go and try to intervene and try to go stop it, that just seems like it's playing too much with the concept. It seems like you're giving way too much leeway for these characters to prevent the outcome. I think it's better when there's a smaller amount of time, because it builds more tension. Like, I only have 2 minutes to get off of this plane. What do I decide to do? When you see a full, half an hour, hour in advance, it gives you too many like potential moments to intervene and to stop things. And it just kind of really takes away, I think, the urgency of these movies. Overall, yeah, I don't really have a lot to praise about this one. The characters are terrible. The CGI in this movie looks atrocious. None of the kill scenes are really that memorable except for the asshole one. But like, again, it's more of like a concept that you think about rather than something you see on screen. This one is not good, man. This one drops the ball. It goes downhill. And by this point, the concept of Final Destination is way too played out, and the movie doesn't even bother to even get you to care at all. It's just like, okay, yep, opening scenario, Final Destination movie. Okay, here we go. It also bums me out that the guy that directed my favorite Final Destination movie also directs my least favorite. At least so far, of the recording of this review, I have not seen Bloodlines yet. And the guy that directed that made Leprechaun Origins. So I'm kind of nervous, but we'll see what happens. Anyways, guys, what do you guys think of The Final Destination, aka Final Destination 4? Just call it Final Destination 4. What are we doing here? What do you guys think about this movie? Let me know in the comments below. Leave all your thoughts and opinions down there. Also, leave a like and comment to help it out in the algorithm. If you want to support the channel on a deeper level, I do have Patreon channel memberships and all the social media links where you can follow me down below. Other than that, guys, have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see you tomorrow.